first of many videos. We're going to be going through the Sermon on the Mount. That's a name given for one of Jesus' most famous sermons. It's recorded in the Bible, in Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7. And we're going to be going through it piece by piece. This is a sermon that Jesus preached, obviously, a couple thousand years ago. The place that it's believed that it was preached at is right off of the Sea of Galilee, which is up in the northern part of Israel there. And it says that Jesus went up on kind of the side of a mountain to preach this, and it seems like the most natural place based on where Jesus was at this time in his life. So anyway, I've gotten to go there, and it's a beautiful place. But obviously the teachings of Jesus have revolutionized the world and created a ton of controversy as well. So why are we doing this? Why are we going through the Sermon on the Mount? I want to give you some reasons. First of all, I know there's some people out there who probably are just curious about Jesus. They're curious about who he was and what he really taught. Secondly, in Matthew, the same book, chapter 28, verses 18 to 20, Jesus told his followers that they were supposed to go make disciples and then teach them to obey everything that he had commanded them. So, for me, being a follower of Jesus, it's part of my job is to invite people to come follow Jesus, and for those who want to, that I teach them what Jesus taught. And so that's why I'm doing this. Another reason for doing this is some of you may have given your life to Jesus at one point, but no one ever began to teach you how to obey Jesus, how to follow him, teach you what he taught. A fourth reason is some of you may already just be steadily walking with God and learning from the Bible, learning from Jesus, and you just want to spend some extra time on this Sermon on the Mount. So, whatever the case, I pray that you'll be blessed. I want to read to you the first two verses of Matthew chapter 5. It says this, "And seeing the multitudes, he," being Jesus, "went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. And then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying," and then it goes on to say what he taught them, what he did say. But we're told that there were multitudes following Jesus, or at least kind of getting around the buzz of what was happening with him. But Jesus addresses this sermon to his disciples. It says they came to him. His disciples came to him. So that's who this sermon is addressed to. And you might be asking yourself, well, what is a disciple? And a disciple is literally a student or a pupil or a learner, or a follower, basically. So Jesus, we know from the Bible, had begun to call these people to follow him. Hey, come follow after me. And they would commit their lives to following after him. He had an inner circle of 12 disciples who literally left their jobs to follow him. And then a bunch of other people who would become disciples also, who didn't physically follow him, but they were his followers. They were his disciples because they were his loyal people who listened to his teachings, obeyed his teachings. And you have to ask yourself, am I a disciple of Jesus? And John, the book of John, chapter 8, verse 31, Jesus said there, "If you abide in my word, you're my disciples indeed." And that word abide means to remain, to stay, to continue. So Jesus was saying, if you remain attached to what I say and do it, if you're loyal to me, basically, you really are my disciples. And that's important because some people would say, yeah, I'm a disciple of Jesus, but they don't really care to hear what he has to say, or if they know what he has to say, they don't actually obey it. So Jesus said, if you're actually loyal to what I say, you are my disciples, for real. It says in Acts 11:26, and this is an important thing, in the book of Acts, chapter 11, verse 26, it says there that in a place called Antioch, the disciples were first called Christians at that place. And the point I'm trying to make is that in this place called Antioch, the people gave the name Christian to these disciples of Jesus. And so there shouldn't be a difference between what we know of as a Christian and what is a disciple. And some people would say, well, I'm a Christian, but I don't know if I'm a disciple. Well, there shouldn't be any difference because the name Christian was just another name for a disciple of Jesus. Um, Again, you're gonna probably different people will watch this video from different perspectives, and you're gonna have to ask yourself, do I belong to Jesus? Am I loyal to Him? And if I am, how am I doing at obeying Him? But I want to give you some thoughts really quick on how to make the most of these videos. First of all, I just encourage you to get a Bible. I'm using the New King James translation, but there's several good translations out there. Most major translations will work for what we're doing, but get yourself a Bible. My second thought to you is take stuff in bite-sized chunks. As we go through it, there's going to be probably a lot of videos to look at, but don't rush through them. Take time to really think about what they say, and if that's just one video a week, one video a day, whatever it is, I encourage you to take time to chew on it, because it's not about getting through it, it's about understanding it and letting it change you. A third thing I would tell you is we'll mention a lot of other passages of the Bible, and I encourage you, when the video's over, to go look those up, think about them. And fourthly, I encourage you to take time every now and then to read through the entire sermon so you get the big picture of it. Again, it's Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7, and you can read through the whole thing in about 15 to 20 minutes. So I encourage you to do that every now and then so you keep getting the big picture while we're zoomed in, taking it apart piece by piece. The last thing I'd tell you is just take time to talk to God, to pray before and after these videos. The Bible says that it's the Spirit of God that teaches us. So even if He uses a human teacher to direct you through the Bible, He's the one who brings about change and really helps your heart to understand. So ask God to teach you, ask God to draw you close to Himself and help you understand what this means and how it applies to your life. That's about all for now, but we will in the next video, before we jump in too deep to the study, we'll just take some overall big thoughts before we get into the sermon so we can make it most beneficial and not get lost too much. So that's all for now, and I hope you come along. I hope God blesses you and that you choose to become His disciple, or if you are, that you become a stronger and more faithful disciple. So God bless you, love you, and we'll see you next video.